in mind, I'm new to this. I've only been doing this since March, so
Whatever. Come on, you're like a veteran already.
no, not by far. You guys have it on me for sure. The Team Nerd Herd podcast is a bunch of guys that I look up to because I'm like,
Oh,
man, look at these guys.
please, come on.
Look at these guys. They're so cool. They've been doing this for such a while. That's all about Team Nerd Herd. I love it.
Yeah, we've been doing it for like a year. That's it.
See, you have 6 months on me.
Come on.
Oh man, well, let's get things going then, Alonzo. I totally understand the time, so welcome to the show. Technically, I don't have a name for it.
Picks of the week.
This is Eman's new comic book picks for May 5th, 2021. Cinco de Mayo. These are books that we're going to be reading while we have our drinks that night. How does that sound? Does that sound good to you?
Oh my God, that sounds fantastic. I love it.
In this weird time and age that where everyone's staying indoors, this is the perfect time to stay indoors, drink your margaritas, and read comics. Boom! And Alonzo and I are going to help everyone out there decide what books to pick up this May 5th, 2021. You want to get things started, my friend?
Sure, let's do it.
Let's do it. Alonzo, let's go ahead and go with your number one pick now. Again, to everyone out there, these are in no particular order, but these are our top 3 picks for May 5th. So, Alonzo, go ahead. Let's kick it off. What's your first comic book that you're going to get for a new comic book day?
So, in no particular order, I have to go with Star Wars, War of the Bounty Hunters, Alpha #1.
That's a tongue twister of a name, too.
It is. It is. Oh my God. But I mean, there's so many fantastic covers out there. I'm liking every single one because everybody has their different take on Boba Fett. And I mean, it's just fantastic. I love to see all the art. I mean, even cover A looks unbelievable. It's just gorgeous. But as far as the story's concerned, I mean, who doesn't want to know what happened between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi? You know, I mean, we have Boba Fett with Han Solo and Carbonite, and everybody's after him. All the bounty hunters. I mean, he is a lone wolf amongst everybody in the entire galaxy. It is going to be nuts, and I cannot wait to grab my hands on those copies and just flip through that book.
Alonzo, let me go ahead and read the synopsis on this one right here. Now, this is the Star Wars comic event you've been waiting for. The notorious bounty hunter Boba Fett has finally landed his greatest prize, Han Solo. Spoiler alert for people who don't know, I guess, right?
Well, now you know.
Now you know. Frozen in carbonite for easy transport, Fett will bring the smuggler to Tatooine to collect the massive bounty placed on Solo's head by the fearsome crime lord Jabba the Hutt. Sounds easy. What could go wrong? I think everything can go wrong. This does not sound good for Boba. We know the end game, but it's all about the journey, right? And that's what we're going to get with this book.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be nuts. I mean, I can't wait to see all the cameos. I mean, all the bounty hunters. Like Dr. Aphra is rumored to also appear. I mean, it's just nuts. Like I seriously cannot wait to see what happens.
Now look, because of you and the Team Nerd Herd, I'm gonna have to go back and start reading some of the Star Wars books that I missed. Where I'm like, there's a lot of reading, but there's a lot of reading. Cinco de Mayo is coming up. Thank you, Alonzo. That's his number one pick. Star Wars Bounty Hunters Alpha #1. Pick it up. If you haven't, or if you're not, so go get it, you guys.
Do it.
Let's go ahead and get into my number one pick. My number one pick for New Comic Book Day, Cinco de Mayo. I'm going to go off of a recommendation. I was not going to pick up these books until I read the Future State version. And after someone out there has recommended it to me, Miss Jen from Comics Will Break Your Heart, I'm going with Swamp Thing #3. Swamp Thing, written by Rom V, arts by Mike Perkins. I didn't think I was gonna like a Swamp Thing book, but the way this book is written, if you're a fan of Swamp Thing, okay, you have more of the lore. This is for those people who know nothing about Swamp Thing, and honestly, you want to jump in and start something new. Whole new adventure, whole new characters, but this guy is now the Swamp Thing. I know nothing about what. I can't even explain it good to you as to why you should get it, Alonzo, but I'm going to tell you, you should go get it because of how it's written. It's just well written. Do you know anything about this book?
I honestly don't. Like I'm very picky about all the DC books I pick up. And Swamp Thing isn't on my list at all. I mean, I've heard good things. Even from the stuff back in the New 52. So I am curious, but not like I don't feel the need to jump in there and like take one book out of my pull and replace it with Swamp Thing.
And you know what? If that's what it's going to take for you to put Swamp Thing in there, I'm going to say you're going to have to do it because it's really worth it. Swamp Thing is just fantastically written by Rom V. It's an adventure of a man who pretty much has the Swamp Thing powers. He's able to go from one place to another. He's all of a sudden in a desert where this other bad guy has some powers and he's burning people and he doesn't know how to get there. To him, it's just a dream, but he's actually in the middle of it. It's just really, really crazy, and it's refreshing knowing that anyone can start a new adventure with a familiar name, because this is all brand new characters. So let me go ahead and read the synopsis on this one right here. Reeling from the battle with the Pale Wanderer, which is that crazy guy I was telling you about, Levi Kamei seeks the true nature of his transformations. And what better place to find his roots than the heart of the green itself? There, he and Jennifer will encounter the realm's many Denzians, including one known as Holland and a familiar name, Poison Ivy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Again, I can only tell you that this book is well written. It's captivated me. I could honestly, a month and a half ago, I could have cared less about what a Swamp Thing is. I've heard about it. I know about the comic books in DC, but after recommendations and after reading the New 52 version or the Future State version, I was like, all right, let's continue this. And honestly, it's one of those surprise hits. It's one of those books where you're like, I didn't think I was gonna like it.
I might give it a shot. I mean, you had me at crazy because I like crazy. I also think my LCS did overorder a lot of those Future State books. So I think they're doing a sale on them. So it you know what? I may go pick it up.
All I can tell you again is that it's a very well written story, and I really recommend people try something new. If you're looking for something new, try this. All right, let's get into your number 2 pick, Alonzo. Let's get into your number 2, my friend. Go ahead.
All right, my second pick of the week for May the 5th has to do with Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal. And the reason why I love this book, or even though I haven't read it, it's the premise. I mean, you can time travel and steal stuff. I mean, think about all the shenanigans you could be doing. I mean, if I had the ability to time travel, I mean, I would go around like taking stuff, maybe take the Mona Lisa, go around and get a pet Tyrannosaurus. I mean, there's just so much stuff you can do. The sky's the limit. I think this entire book will just be off the wall, and it'll be a fun read.
I know nothing about this book. I mean, this is an I know nothing episode. I know nothing about this book. So when you brought this up, I'm like, let me read this. The one thing that caught my eye is the writer, Garth Ennis. So anyone who knows the comic book The Boys should know who Garth Ennis is, because he was one of the main writers, if not the main writer, and I think co-creator of The Boys. So he's penning this book, which captured me right away. I didn't know anything about it, Alonzo, in the moment that you said it, and I looked it up and I saw Garth Ennis. I'm like, I know that name. Let me read the synopsis.
You're like, sold. I'm gonna give this a chance.
I am gonna give this a chance. I haven't even read the synopsis. All I did, honestly, I'll be honest, I just copied the synopsis and put it on a sticky paper, so what I'm about to read is the very first thing that I'm gonna find out about this book. So come and join this journey, everyone else who knows nothing about this book. She's Marjorie Finnegan. She's a temporal criminal. What more do you need to know? Which is pretty much what you just said. Oh, all right then.
Right? Shenanigans.
All Marge wants to do is race up and down the time lane, stealing everything shiny, gleamy, pretty, sparkly she can lay her hands on. But her larcenous trail from the Big Bang to the 95th Reich, has drawn the beady-eyed of the temporal PD. Oh man, so now there's like police after her. A temporal police department is after her. Whose number one deputy marshal is now hard on our heroine's tail. It's funny, they call her a heroine, but she's out stealing stuff.
She's like the black cat.
Worse still, Marge's worthless creep of an ex, and his even scummier partner have seen an angle of their own in all of this and now intend to use her time tech to change history for their own benefit. I think you're 2 for 2. I didn't know anything about this until right now.
Woo! But I mean, it's just one of those things where, I mean, to your point, it's Garth Ennis. And another one, it's like, if you had a time machine, I mean, what would you do?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on. Marty McFly went and stole the sports almanac and then brought it because, you know what? He wanted to make a fortune.
And that's a question a lot of people ask too, right? You know what, if you can go back in time, would you change this? Would you take that? Where would you go? What would you do? What would you do differently? I think we're going to get an adventure of the people who are like, let's be a little mischievous. If I can change time and go back, I'm going to be mischievous. And that's what this book sounds like. It's going to be just nothing but, like you said, shenanigans.
It's fun. I mean, and again, it's the first issue. So I mean, just give it a shot. I mean, that's all you can really do. Just pick it up. I mean, if the summary or the synopsis kind of like appeals to you, I mean, why not? Why not give these new books a shot?
Exactly. Honestly, I recommend not for the spec reason, but just to start a new adventure, always pick up a number one. Always pick up a number one at your LCS, especially if it's an indie book, because it's a brand new adventure that someone created from the top of their head without any rules of the big two. And if you don't like it after 3 issues, you know what? Drop it. At least you tried. And that's what I think we should do with this one right here. Just give it a try because it's pure shenanigans and I'm digging it. Well, let me get into my number 2 pick. My number 2 pick is from a series that I've been waiting for it to come back. Now, I walked into my LCS one day in the middle of the run and I looked at the name and I was like, wait a minute, this is written by someone familiar. So I ended up picking up, I think, number 3 and number 4 at the time. I didn't want to pick it up and read it just yet until I got number 1 and number 2. So I went back and I ordered number 1, number 2, and I read them and I'm like, wait a minute, this is actually a pretty fantastic young YA adventure book about this little boy who has these magical powers in a town that doesn't allow magic. Now he's trying to get to another town that may allow magic that's supposed to help him out. This book is called Wind, and this is Wind number 6 by James Tynion IV, and art is by Michael Dailinus. I wish I knew how to pronounce his name. I went on YouTube to see if I could pronounce it.
Same here.
But what's awesome though is that on Instagram, someone posted that, hey, look, Wind number 6 is coming out. There's a variant cover. And I pretty much, I share this story that I got my daughter, she's 11, to read Wind 1 through 5. And she fell in love almost immediately. Dad, when's number 6 coming out? I've shared that story several times online, and a couple of times Michael, the artist, actually replied back saying, hey, thank you so much for liking the book. And I was like, oh my God, I sent that message to my daughter and she flipped. She's like, oh my God. So because there was an interaction there, I want this book even more. But even if there wasn't, Wind is one of my favorite books, and especially since I was able to bond with my daughter over this book.
No, I was about to say, just sorry to interrupt, but I totally agree with you 100%. The story, the art, the world that's built in this book is refreshing. It's amazing. It's fantastic.
Fantastic is the word.
I love it. I totally enjoy reading it. And Tinian's doing such a fantastic job. One of the things, if you haven't heard, there's some rumors going out there about Wind, and there's potential that there could be some sort of either a series or a movie that may be coming out.
Oh man. Okay. I'm not gonna put this on the air. I'm gonna go out and buy all of the number ones at reasonable prices. That's what I'm gonna do.
Oh, you may have missed the boat. All those number ones are already
I have like 4 of them upstairs. And I have 2 of them are peach mocha covers, so I think I'll be all right.
Very nice. But yeah, I mean, it's people are getting on board this book. I mean, to your point, I think people were what's the word I'm looking for? We're looking for this number 6 because of that hiatus or that pause that happened, that they were like, I want to know, I want more. I want more. And normally, if a book goes on hiatus for a little bit, people forget about the book.
Yeah.
They decide, oh, you know what? I don't need it on my pull. Or if it wasn't on their pull and they would pick it up month after month, they don't see it. They forget about it. Out of sight, out of mind. But with Wind, people are still talking about it. People still are like, hey, when is this book coming out? So I totally agree with this pick. I mean, you nailed it. This is fantastic. We're brothers for life now.
We were cool, but now we're brothers. I love it.
That's right.
Let me read. Let's find out what number 6 is about. Let me read a little bit about it. But what is the secret behind Wind's terrifying visions? As you know, he would have these night terrors that turn him into something kind of crazy. Meanwhile, back in Pipetown, the dying King Yasser does the unthinkable in his attempt to bring Yorick home, his son, letting vampires into the city for the first time in generations, which, man, they've been trying to keep them out. This is such a fantastical YA, young adult, but fun for everyone type of adventure. And what I love about it is that it's also all inclusive. Wind is bisexual, and they make it known. And honestly, I want my kids to know that, look, you're okay. You are normal regardless. In a world when they see things like that as abnormal, no. Everyone's loved, everyone's normal, everyone does their own thing, and everyone can have their own fun adventure. And that's what I loved about Wind, is that it opened a whole new world to my daughter's eyes, and it opened up my heart to the character. I love this book so much. I can't wait for Wind number 6.
And you know what? I can feel that emotion when you're talking about it. I mean, just the look on your face, like you exude like passion for this book. And that's what this is. I mean, people who've read it and gone on that journey, like, they love this book.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just, it's exciting. It's just, it's wonderful.
Yes.
And, and to have you like bond with your daughter over a comic, I mean, that's awesome. That's amazing. I'm so very happy for you.
And I love it. So now she's got the bug, and now every time she comes over and I see her, because she doesn't live with me, so every time I come over or every time I see her, I take her to a comic book shop, and she's like, Dad, can I get these books? And she just picks up all these indie kids books. I'm like, no problem at all. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah, love it.
All right, Alonzo, number 3. What is your number 3 pick for May 5th, 2021?
Okay, I'm going a little off the beaten path here, only because we've already seen a lot of books that are about post-apocalyptic adventures. I mean, we've had We Live, we've had Origins. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. but I'm gonna go with Eve. And the reason why I'm going with Eve is like I feel that it's kind of grounded. And I mean, we've all heard of rumors or just I don't know, just a lot of like stuff that if the polar ice caps melted, I mean, these bacterias or these diseases might come back to life. And this is what exactly happens in this comic book. I mean, the ice caps melted and it released some sort of virus that started to either kill or turn people into things. I mean, I don't know. I mean, even based on the synopsis, it just says this girl Eve mysteriously awakens from her like virtual reality. So I'm wondering, how did she get stuck in this virtual like world and awaken all of a sudden? And then she's trying to find her dad. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what's gonna happen. But what really gets me is she has this teddy bear that
I was gonna say it's the teddy bear.
It's the teddy bear. I'm like, you know, this young girl is bringing her teddy bear with her, and then the teddy bear is like some sort of robot. I don't know. Maybe it's a part of her imagination. I have no clue. But I want to know what's up with this teddy bear.
I read the synopsis. You pretty much nailed the synopsis. I'm not going to have to read it all over again. But everything sounded cool. It sounded very, was it the Truman Show-ish? Because she was raised in a virtual reality away from her. It reminded me slightly of The Last Airbender, where she's, you know, in ice, she breaks free, she's looking for her family, right?
I could see that.
And I'm like, okay, I get all this right here. But it was the damn teddy bear that I'm like, what is that? Why is she holding on to that thing for dear life? And there's this little story behind it. Eve, it has to be a very close number 4 for me. So I'm glad you mentioned it, because then I could say, you know what, my 4th pick is Eve also. But yes, I'm very much looking forward to this book also, because again, it's a number 1. It's a fresh new story. There's a teddy bear that means a lot to this little girl, and it's from Boom. And you know, honestly, anything Boom number 1, and even the Team Nerd Herd has said it on your guys' podcast, any Boom number 1, pick it up. You just have to.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. Plus, like, even if you don't want to pick it up, you should, because Netflix has first pick in any property that Boom produces. So that's another reason. I mean, why not get in on the ground floor with any and all of these books? And Boom is putting out some tremendous works out there. So yeah, give it a shot. You know, you might like it.
Exactly. Now, I know Ross Ritchie's been on the Team Nerd Herd, and he's hung out with the C-List Villains podcast. And yeah, there was a lot of Netflix talk coming out of Ross Ritchie. He has that R.L. Stine TV show coming out, I think, this summer. And it sounds like there's a lot more projects down the pipeline with other services, but there's a main, like, hub of Netflix lingering over Boom. I mean, look, they have Berserker, right? Netflix got Berserker. So honestly, any rare Berserker you can get, go find. But if this one pops off and you get the number 1 and there's a show, hey, look, I know we're doing spec talk and we shouldn't do spec talk, but I also understand too, you know, Boom and Netflix have a relationship and you don't know where it's going to go. Plus, there's the teddy bear. I don't know what else we need to tell you, but teddy bear is probably going to be the one that's going to save everything. I really love this pick because this one's on my list also.
I hope I want to know what that teddy bear's name is.
Yeah.
I still want to know what it is.
And I'm sure it's out there. We'll find out. We're going to figure it out.
That's right. Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. We're going to find out. All right. Well, on to my number 3 pick, Alonzo. So my number 3 pick for New Comic Book Day, May 5th, 2021, Cinco de Mayo, is going to go to another comic book that was recommended to be. It's called Dead Dogs Bite, art and written by Tyler Boss. This is just more of a, again, it's one of those stories where it's just well written. If I tell you the synopsis, it's basic. Town girl, her friend's missing, everyone's trying to find her, no one knows what's going on. But it's also how she views life. It's also how she's pursuing her day by day. Dead Dogs Bite is still developing, but it's also, again, one of those well-written books where I'm like, what's going to happen next? One thing that captures me about Dead Dogs Bite also is there's this narrator who's just a smartass. Now, he's only in the story to narrate. He's got this nice suit and he's got this very clean cut, but he's kind of a smartass. And it's funny how he can direct the reader on how to feel and where to go within the book. And that's what I like about this book right here. Have you heard about this book at all?
I have actually. It was one of the picks. I think Steve, who's Hip Hops and Me on Team Nerd Herd, recommended this book, and I did pick up the first issue. I haven't had the time to read it yet, so don't spoil it for me. But I've heard good things. Yes,
yeah. It's a good read. It's a good solid read. It has sarcasm, it has humor, but it has mystery and suspense. You don't know where you're going, and it's turning into a whodunit type of book. Sometimes you can explain what a book is, but you can't really explain the direction or how it makes anyone feel until you actually read it. And this is one of those books where it's like the synopsis doesn't know justice. Let me read the synopsis of number 3. After a fire, Joe tries to find the answers at her local library. Stop by yours today. The penultimate issue arrives. That means absolutely nothing to me. I don't know what that means. But again, it's how the book is actually written. And it's kind of like, oh, okay. And it takes you on this journey and you follow along. And you're like, what's happening here? It's kind of like...
Yeah, I was about to say, so this issue doesn't tell you, the summary doesn't tell you anything.
Nothing.
You want to kind of draw me and sell me on this book.
So, the best way I can probably describe this book right now is you're on a tour in Chinatown and you have this lady who carries this flag who says, "Follow me." That's pretty much the direction of how this book goes. Without spoiling it for you, again, it's a murder mystery. And it's written and drawn by Tyler Boss. And typically an artist who writes or a writer who draws, sometimes it kind of hits and misses the mark. But the direction, and this is one of those books where it's the direction and how the book is directed that draws you in. Kind of like Pulp Fiction, right? Pulp Fiction, what is it about?
The Gimp.
See?
It's about a Royale with cheese.
The Royale with cheese.
A Royale with cheese, right? That's what it's about.
A Big Mac's a Big Mac, but they call it La Big Mac.
Is it dance?
See, it's like Pulp Fiction where you really can't describe what the book is, but you were on a journey and it was fun and it was well directed. And that's kind of how I will go and bring this book to anyone. It's kind of like Pulp Fiction where I can tell you what it's about, but it's not what it's about. It's about what happens and how you're, as the reader, are taking into this world. Like I said, it can sound basic, but it's very well written. I wish I had studied, English better in high school, got past English 2, man. I would have described this book so much better to you.
But that's okay. I mean, you know what? I know your hesitancy to not want to spoil anything, so I get it. So there's some mystery that's developing. Maybe that's a murder mystery, right? Yeah. So someone has to die. And your Pulp Fiction
analogy
kind of says, okay, there might be some multiple stories or multiple things that are happening in this book. Maybe it's different times, perhaps. So you kind of have to put things together. Maybe there's a puzzle, you know?
There is a small puzzle element to it, especially after starting issue 2. So it's kind of like a fill in the blank type thing. I'm picking it up. It's my number 3 pick. That's all I'm gonna say.
Like I said, I do have the books. I do have 1, I do have 2, but I haven't read it. I mean, it's just in my pile of stuff that I have that I'm like, I'll get to it. You know, I mean, we all have our books that we
have a
routinely
backlog.
read,
We
right?
have a backlog, yeah.
And then we have a backlog. We have stuff that's like, okay, I know this. I got to read it. I got to check it out. You know, but it is a limited series, so I feel like I want to get all of the issues so that way I can have it all at once versus once every month.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to nowadays binging everything on TV. And there's a lot of anthologies that are coming out nowadays that I feel like, oh, I'm going to get everything that I want in one sitting.
Yeah.
You know, so I may wait. I don't know yet. But again, I do have the book. I've heard great things about it. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Well, find number 2 at the store. Maybe after reading number 1 and number 2, maybe you might go into number 3. Well, Alonzo, that's it for tonight, my friend. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm glad the Team Nerd Herd allowed you to come and kick it with this young chap who's new to this business right here. Why don't you go ahead and plug your socials? Let everyone know how to get a hold of you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So I'm Alonzo. You can find me at Comics and Pops on IG and Twitter. And also, we have a YouTube channel, Team Nerd Herd. So just stop on by, say hi, give me a follow, and definitely like and subscribe our videos. I mean, we love putting new stuff out. Let us know what you think. Again, it's teamnerdherd.com. And I hope to see you in the live chat.
Oh man, I love it. And if that didn't get you to go watch Team Nerd Herd, I described them as the Wu-Tang Clan of comic book podcasting. There is about 9 individuals, 9 different minds, all speaking comic books from different angles. It's like Epcot Center. It's not the same angle from a different stance and point of view. These guys are amazing. You guys need to go check them out. I love them. Well, that's it for tonight, Alonzo. Again, thank you so much. Now, remember, I co-host the C-List Villains podcast. Brand new episodes come out every Saturday. We also have a YouTube channel. Come follow us on the C-List Villains podcast. And that's pretty much it. Please come like, subscribe, click that notification bell. That way you guys get notified anytime I or Team Nerd Herd or the C-List Villains put up a new video. Well, that's it for tonight, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Until the next issue, deuces.